Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aida Maisara binti Abdul Rahman, and today I would like to present our group hierarchy assignment report. The objectives of this assignment is to systematically identify the potential hazards, assess the associated risk, and implement appropriate control measures to minimize or eliminate risk in the workplace. And what do we want to achieve by doing this assignment is to able to identify the hazards, risk assessment, and risk control in any environment. HIRAC stands for Hazard Identification, Risk Assessment, and Risk Control. It is an instrument to identify hazard, analyze and assess its associated risk, and then apply suitable control measure. Hazard identification, it involves in recognizing potential sources of harm. Next comes risk assessment, which we will able to evaluate the likelihood and severity harm from identified hazards, which bring us to risk control, which we aims to implement measures to eliminate or minimize the likelihood and severity of the potential harm. HIRAC offers several advantages, which is the proactive risk management. It can prevent incident and injuries, it complies with legal requirements, it protects workers' health and safety, and also foster a culture of continuous improvement. So why do we need HIRAC? Simply put, because it helps organization create a safe environment, ensure legal compliance, and promote the well-being of employees through systematic hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control. Now we'll be moving on to Table 1 HIRAC. The first work activity is boiling the water and dissolving agar powder. The hazard is exposed to contact with hard objects, and risk is potential to get scalded by boiling liquid. The second hazard is exposed to contact with fragile apparatus, and the second risk is potential to get wound from shattered container. The existing risk control is safety laboratory practices, and the control measure is AC, administrative control, which is a standard practice is sufficient with safe laboratory practices that includes PPE and proper emergency procedure. And the second work activity is setting up safety cabinet. The hazard is exposed to chemicals, and the risk is potential to cause respiratory irritation or skin irritation. The existing risk control is safety laboratory practices, and the control measure is administrative control AC, which follow user manual for safe cabinet usage. And also PPE control PC, wear chemical resistant glove and face mask. PPE should be made mandatory. And the third work activity is autoclave the agar solution for 20 minutes. The hazard is exposed to contact with dangerous parts of machinery. The risk is potential to cause burns from steam and hot liquids, and potential to sustain body injury from depressurized explosion. The existing risk control is safety laboratory practices, and the control measure is administrative control AC, which follow proper emergency procedure, and PPE control PC, which wear heat resistant glove. The fourth work activity is sterilization of petri dishes and other apparatus. The hazard is exposed to radiation, and the risk is potential to get inflammation of cornea, skin injury, and possible risk of skin cancer. The existing risk control is aseptic technique. The control measure is administrative AC, which follow user manual for safe sterilization and other apparatus usage, and carry out inspection of electrical powered tool by user prior to usage. And the fifth work activity is pouring the agar solution into each petri dishes. The hazards are exposed to contact with hot objects, and the risk is potential to get scalded by boiling liquid. And the second hazard is exposed to contact with fragile apparatus, and the risk is potential to get wounded from shattered glass container. The existing risk control is aseptic technique, and the control measure is by engineering control (EC) by ensuring a sterile environment when using safe cabinet, and administrative control by following a proper emergency procedure. And the last one is store the agar in fridge. The hazard is exposed to biological hazards, and the risk is potential to cause the prepared agar medium is contaminated. And the existing risk control is aseptic technique, and the control measure is reduced cross-contamination chances by wrapping all the petri dishes in sterile plastic. Now we'll be moving on to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nozani Patricia, and I will be explaining on Table 2. So, in Table 2, we have likelihood, description, and rating. What is likelihood? Likelihood is event likely to occur within the specific time. So, first, we go to the most likely. Most likely means something that highly expected in the event. So, next, we go to the possible. Possible refer to something that can be happen in the event. We can expect. Next is conceivable. Conceivable means something that can be imagined. So we can assume it will be happen in the events. Next is remote. Remote is mean far away or unlikely. So it's not likely to happen. Next is inconceivable, which is means something that is impossible to happen. Next, we go to the table 3. In table 3, we have severity, description, and rating. So, what is severity? Severity is outcome of an event. So, first, we go to the catastrophic. Catastrophic is multiple death, irreversible damage to property, and significant impact on productivity. Multiple death mean more than one people death in the event. So the rating is 5, which is the very, very bad one. Next is fatal, means something that causes death. So the rating is 4. Major Severity is an injury that does not result death but have a permanent or lasting disability. So the rating is 3. Next is minor. Minor is an injury that causes temporary disabilities, and the rating is 2. Next is negligible, which is when the people have a bruises, cut when in the event, so they can treat by using a first aid, so the rating is 1.
Assalamualaikum, I am Anis Safia and I'll be presenting the risk matrix table and risk value table. So, risk is calculated based on the value of severity multiplied by likelihood, like in this table. Severity and likelihood are both ranged from 1 until 5, and it is used to obtain the value of risk for high-rank report. The values are then further described in the risk value table. For the risk value table, it is used to describe the risk values and the actions needed depending on the value range for risk assessment and control. There are 3 descriptions for risk values, which are high, medium, and low. High risk requires immediate response in controlling the hazard based on the hierarchy of control, whereas medium risk requires planned response, and low risk can be tolerated as long as it is not an immediate hazard.
Thank you, Anis, for excellent presentation. My name is Fatma and I will be presenting on hierarch at Laboratory Biology number 3. Now, if you cannot see the slide completely, please refer to the notes I have given. Without further ado, let's begin our presentation. Table 6 shows the task list table. Now, we are observing an FYP student that required to do a medium agar preparation. Now, the first procedure that she needs to do is boiling distilled water and dissolving the agar powder. The hazard is physical hazard. The risk is burn by boiling liquid, shattered glass, cut, and sharp object wound. So, the existing risk control is safe laboratory practices which needs to be adhered by all your ITM student that wants to enter laboratory lab. So the likelihood is 4, which is quite common, and the severity is 2. The total risk value is 8. Now, the reason why the likelihood is 4 is because when we observe the student, an accidentally occur, whereby the FRP student accidentally shattered a 1 liter glass containing boiling water. Luckily, she is not injured. That's why it's very common, and we can see that from the previous student, there's a bucket of full shattered glass. Now, the recommended control measure is, as usual, follow the safe laboratory practices, wear proper PPE, and follow emergency exit procedure if necessary. Next is she needs to setting up septic cabinet, which is possess a chemical hazard, because she needs to spray disinfectant on the surface of the septic cabinet, so that chemical might causes respiratory irritant or skin irritation. The control measure is safe laboratory practices where she needs to wear PPE. This is a normal thing, okay? The likelihood is 2, severity is 2, the risk value is very low, which is 4. Next is she needs to autoclave the agar solution for 20 minutes. This is a machinery hazard. You might get burn from the steam and possible harm from pressurized explosion, which is very rare, but it can occur. And the likelihood is 2, severity is 5, because this explosion can cause not only death or harm to you, but also can damage the property, and it can punch a hole at the building, based on the newspaper that I've read recently. That's why the risk value is 10. So this is normal control measure. Next is sterilization of petri dishes and apparatus. So the student required to use UV ray from the septic cabinet. So UV ray is one of the radiation hazard. So if you look at the UV ray directly, you might get inflammation of the cornea, skin injury, and possible risk of skin cancer, which is unlikely. So this is using aseptic technique as a control measure, because you need to maintain cleanliness of this septic cabinet. The likelihood is 1, severity is 3, and the total risk value is 3. The reason why the likelihood is 1 is because of it's very rare for you to get skin cancer, because when the UV light is on, you're not using the septic cabinet, meaning that you are not near, you are away from the septic cabinet, and then it only takes only 2 minutes or less to operate this sterilization technique. Recommended control measure is as usual. And then next activity is taking out the agar solution from the autoclave. So this is a machinery hazard. You might get burn and pressurized explosions as usual, similar to number 3. Next is number 6, which is pouring the agar solution into petri dishes. This is similar to procedure number 1, boiling the solution. Next, finally, is store the petri dishes into a fridge. This possesses a biological hazard because your preparation might be contaminated by other things inside the fridge. So, however, there's no damage can occur to you or to the apparatus. So, likelihood is 3 because it's quite common, and severity is 1 because it poses no danger to you or to the apparatus. And to control measure is quite a practical one, is you need to use a plastic bag or wrapping. Put your petri dishes into a single container, separated it from other kind of stuff in the fridge. Next is rank the task and remark. Now we put taking out the agar solution for autoclave and autoclave the agar solution for 30 minutes as rank 1 and 2 because it contains very high risk value. Now, the reason why number 1 is taking out the agar because of when you are operating the autoclave, you are opening the very hot steam might spill on you whenever you open the valve. So that's why it is taking the first rank. And then the autoclave is second is because of when you are running or when you're starting the autoclave operation, you are not there, you are away, so you are not exposed to the risk directly. So that's why I rank this as you are number 2, although it can explode, but you will not be harmed, but only the building. So it might be lesser danger, but still dangerous. So the third rank is boiling distilled water, and the fourth is pouring agar solution into petri dish. The reason why I put boiling is third and pouring the agar is 4, despite both of these having 8 risk value, because of you are dealing with a lesser hot object at number 4, meaning that we need to cool down the medium preparation, medium agar solution slightly less hot as compared to number 3. You are dissolving the agar and then you're holding a very hot, but pouring agar is require you to have a very slightly lower temperature, so that's why it's number 4. And then this is relatively low risk, which is setting up capacity cabinets, sterilization and storing place. And next is I give to Mr. Aiman for explaining SOP.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Aiman from RAS2035B, and today I will gonna talk about the safe work and operating procedure, which is the SOP. So the first activity that we can see is boiling distilled water and dissolving agar powder. So the hazard that we can see through the activity is exposed to contact with hot object and also exposed to contact with fragile apparatus. So the SOP that we can use to avoid this hazard is by prepare safety equipment such as wearing glove, face shield and eye protection to avoid skin burns and wounds. So next is the setting up safety cabinet. So the hazard that we can see through the activity is exposed to chemicals. So the SOP that we can use is also the same as activity 1, which is we can prepare safety equipment by wearing face mask, glove and eye protection to avoid respiratory irritation and skin irritation. So next activity is autoclave the agar solution for 20 minutes. So the hazard that we can see through the activity is potential to cause burn from steam and hot liquid and also sustain body injury from pressurized explosion. So the SOP that we can use to avoid this hazard is by prepare safety equipment also. And another additional SOP is by wear safety clothes, which is a full wear safety clothes such as a lab coat to avoid injury from pressurized explosion. Okay, next is activity is sterilization of petri dish and other apparatus. So the hazard that we can use to the hazard that we can see through the activity is by exposed to radiation, and the SOP that we can use to avoid this hazard is by prepare safety equipment and also take a shower or wipe all the part of our body that exposed to radiation with a damp clothes. So next activity is pouring the agar solution into each petri dish. So the hazard that we can see through the activity is exposed to contact with hot object and exposed to contact with fragile apparatus. So the SOP that we can use to avoid this hazard is also by prepare safety equipment. So lastly, for our activity is stock in fridge, which is the hazard is exposed to biological hazard. So the SOP that we can use to avoid this hazard is by prepare safety equipment also. And another SOP is always check the temperature of the fridge at 35 or until 38 degree and also keep the door closed. I think that's all from us. I hope you guys enjoy our presentation. Thank you.